In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by a guest to discuss the increasingly unhinged comments from Trump. Together, the two take a look at what the world thinks about the first few weeks of the new presidency. Here's Steph.
Steph, I let Trump and his lawless cabal, get my stomach tied in knots every day. And I try to untie it, but I want to share with everybody that all of us who are in this fight for the soul of American democracy and for the rule of law are twisted up and nauseous every day. And that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. This is exactly where he wants us to be, and we have to fight through it. We have to keep fighting with everything we've got. And his irresponsibility, his incompetence, and his imbecility, not only his, but the people he surrounds himself with, will be his downfall. It won't be quick and it won't be easy, but the downfall will come and America will rise again. I'm convinced of it, but it's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah. Can I just say, Pete Dominic, let's make a note, who I love,
all right.
Comedian extraordinary, but he echoes your point, Glenn. He said, this cycle will repeat daily, a tragic news event followed by an outrageous response from Trump and his supporters. The normal reaction to this is anger, sadness, and fear. Don't let them take your joy. It is so hard, but don't let them take your power. I mean, that's what they want, is just this despair. And his shamelessness in going out and blaming Obama and Biden for something that just happened on his watch directly from his decisions. And he thinks no one's going to talk about him letting Elon Musk push out the head of the FAA, firing how many FAA employees, gutting, hiring freeze on air traffic controllers. And then here it comes, right? Here comes obviously the stories about that this happened because it was understaffed. The air traffic control was understaffed, right?
It happened on his watch. It may have been a product of decisions he made in recent days. It may not. We'll have to await the results of the investigation. And while they're still searching for victims in this recovery mission, trying to find folks to pull out of the freezing Potomac River, and he's asked, are you going to go look at the scene? He said, what scene? It's water. What, do you want me to swim? I mean, it's beyond callousness. It's beyond words. And let me just give a shout out to my brother in baldness, Pete Dominic. The number of times I've kissed that man on his bald head, and I'm not making this up. I'm not making it up. I can send you the pictures. They're like PG rated, but I love him and I respect and I admire him, and he is a dear, dear friend.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, that is a secure straight man right there.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, where do Andrea Junker, said, using the American Airlines Black Hawk helicopter tragedy to trash Obama and Biden and praise himself is as malicious as it is typical of this narcissist. Shame on all of you who voted for Trump as president. This monster and his actions will be your responsibility forever. The other thing you happen to mention, yes, there were 3 United States service people killed. He hasn't said anything.
Well, he did this morning, Steph.
Oh, he did finally? Okay.
He said something like, look, the helicopter was flying 200 feet too high. I may have the number off. Is that so hard to understand? I mean, the indecency and the callousness is so off the charts. And Steph, he's going to alienate everybody, even people who, for whatever reason, were supporting him previously. His downfall is coming. His downfall is coming one way or another.
Yeah. Glenn, we were saying this before even his just despicable press conference yesterday that, if this had happened under Biden, fill in the blank, they would have called for criminal prosecution already. Had Biden made the decisions Trump made that led directly to this. But here's our the problem. We don't trust any investigation done by the Trump administration is ever going to blame Trump for anything, right?
No, he has the power of lawlessness bestowed upon him by the Supreme Court, and that will be DOJ's top cover. It will be their excuse to say we can't criminally investigate a president, even though the American people see him committing crimes day in and day out, because the Supreme Court said we can't. And in a very real sense, for his core constitutional presidential functions, the Supreme Court said he can't be investigated or prosecuted. That is what DOJ will hide behind.
Yeah. I knew this was coming. You said, let's recap. Trump's Department of Justice dismissed the classified documents case against Trump's co-defendants, thereby protecting Trump. This would make the mafia blush. It's why you and I and a lot of people were screaming that they should have, Biden DOJ should have done this and released the classified documents report.
Yeah, and I'll say it's very hard as a former career prosecutor to say DOJ should have done the objectively wrong thing by dismissing a national security prosecution in essence against Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. They should have done the wrong thing to get to the right result, which was releasing volume 2 of Jack Smith's report. And I understand why they couldn't bring themselves to do it, but how many times are they going to fool us and let Trump and his nefarious cabal take advantage?
Right. And by the way, this is why I know you're not the only legal expert that gets this, but I get so prickly people that go, "Oh, Glenn's been wrong about everything. They're all wrong." It's like, okay. First of all, none of us could ever have suspected we would be living in such a lawless America that you and a lot of our other esteemed legal experts have spent your life working for the justice in America, rule of law. I don't think anybody could have predicted what this Supreme Court would do and all of that. So to go, Glenn's just selling hopium or whatever. No, you're used to operating in a nation that actually is a nation of laws, not men, right?
And Steph, I've been wrong, and I welcome criticism. I don't run from it. I have been wrong when I explain how the rule of law is supposed to work, how it's designed to work, and how I experienced it working for 30 years. And then it doesn't work that way because Trump wins again, because he's got lots of people in place who are willing to do his dirty and corrupt bidding. That makes me, I guess, wrong in part. But I will continue to talk about how the rule of law is supposed to work, because if we stop talking about that, we're going to lose sight of it. And then all is lost. It's only the rule of law that keeps our republic up and running. If the rule of law dies, so does our republic. And here's what I say to the people who yell at me online every day and say, "Glenn, stop it. Justice doesn't matter. Just stop it." I say, if justice didn't matter to you, I don't think you'd be so upset at the injustice. So you can yell at me, I can take it, but I'm going to keep talking about how it's supposed to work.
Thank you. And by the way, you tweeted about the January 6th pardon, one pardon defendant already rearrested. Well, and there's 2 more dead that got into shootouts with police because they're violent criminals. And that's, I'm sure, not going to be, I was thinking, is poor General Milley getting his, security removed? I'd say he's probably more a threat from MAGA than he is from Iran. Trump has been on record as saying he should be executed for treason. And now he's got this whole stand back and stand by force that he's let out of prison, right?
And the Republicans let him do it. They let him endanger the lives of the Millies and the Faucis and others, and then they let him pull their security detail. So,
Glenn,
he ratchets up the danger to these people.
And he said he doesn't care if any harm comes. That's a sociopath.